Oh, seasonal depression is a real thing. I just want to bask in the sun and ride my motorcycle. But let's drop it on Kiwi. Kiwi!
Hey.
What you working on, man?
Man, it's a Cougar fastback.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
So I see you got your Ken Diggett door handles in there.
I do.
Yeah.
I do, they're done.
And there's
We're just trying to quickly slip this coyote in here.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can quickly slip that right in there.
Yeah. Lots of cutting. We got big holes everywhere trying to make things fit. Because yeah, it came with all the engine mounts and everything from heights to fit it into the Heights front suspension, and it hits the cross member, it hits the firewall, it hits the drive
wait,
tunnel.
Kiwi, wait. That's not why I'm here. I didn't come here for this.
Okay.
People who are interested in this can go to your channel, Kiwi's Creamy Caucasian Catering.
Kiwi Classics and Custom.
That's it. That's it. And yeah, and they can follow the whole build here.
Yeah,
I came.
there's lots to see. So.
Yeah, I came for your Nailhead.
Okay.
I came because I want to do a video on the Buick Nailhead. It's follow up to the Chrysler.
Okay. Right.
I can't film myself.
Okay.
Here, you film me.
Okay.
Sorry, I just take him away from his work. Come,
There
this
we
way.
go.
I've been bugging him to dig this out now for months. I happen to be a Buick Nailhead freak.
Yeah, I'm a little bit
Closet Buick Nailhead freak. And here it is. Kiwi, where'd you get this thing from?
I bought this up by the Twin Lakes out of a 66 Wildcat. So it is a 425 Nailhead.
Okay.
The 465 foot-pounds of torque and all that kind of fun stuff. And I did actually hear it run. It did run.
So what is this going in?
I've got a 57 Buick Riviera, or
Perfect.
what they call a Riviera, a Buick Super Riviera.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the plan and the lot, but I mean that's another project on the back burner, unfortunately.
All right. Well, I want to talk about the Nailhead in general because this is a video I've wanted to do for a while. And we came here last week, 2 weeks ago, and we did the video on his 392 Chrysler. And what a lot of people don't realize is that the Chrysler Hemi and the Buick Nailhead actually have a lot in common, more in common than you think. And the combination of the design features of both of these engines basically form the foundation for all of the performance engines that we have today. Both of these engines were designed during the post-war period. And the thing about the post-war period is that there was plenty of gas. It was all over the place. And it was cheap, but it was really inconsistent. So from city to city, from region to region, gasoline quality was all over the map. And so the automakers had to tune their cars very conservatively, so to avoid detonation. So in order to overcome this basic handicap, engineers started looking at combustion chambers. What can we do to combustion chambers to make it a little bit more consistent? Chrysler and Buick took two completely opposite approaches to this issue. And well, here's the Nailhead valve cover, here's the Hemi valve cover. You get a general idea. Oh, that's upside down. There you go. You get a general idea how different these engines are, and this extends all the way through.
It's like double the width, isn't it?
Oh, I think more than that.
Probably more, yeah.
So here's where they went in different directions. Chrysler decided that a centralized spark plug in a completely smooth combustion chamber would be the best way to dampen spark knock or pre-ignition. And they were right. Buick, on the other hand, went the exact opposite direction. Buick focused on basically building a quench engine, even though that phrase wasn't really used at that period of time. So while the Chrysler chamber was this just big, plain, open dome, the Buick chamber is a rectangular pocket that sits above the round cylinder board. And you have a quench area all the way around. Now, ironically enough, if you look at the third generation Hemi, it's the exact mix between these two engines. It has the hemispherical combustion, mostly hemispherical combustion chamber with a centrally located spark plug, but has a quench area all the way around. So basically, the third generation Hemi is a marriage of the Buick Nailhead and the original Chrysler Firepower. So a couple of things about the Nailhead. It's unique among all of the other Buick engines in that, it's unique among just about every engine, in that it has its shape and its narrowness. You know, this engine's only 22 inches wide at its widest point. It's just about a little wider than, let's say, a 351 Windsor. The most unique feature of these things and what gives them their appearance is the rockers. So you notice on most engines, the valves are on this side of the rocker shaft, but on the Nailhead, the valves are on the upper side of the rocker shaft. And you've got these shrimp-shaped rockers. The push rods are operating from underneath, pushing out on the rocker and then down on the valve. This is where the engine got its name from, the Nailhead, because the valves are standing in place like nails. I think they're exactly in line, straight up and down.
Yeah, vertical, yeah.
So, but again, the purpose of this was to get the combustion chamber, like I said, the combustion chamber is shaped like this over the round bore, and you get a quench area all the way around. When these engines were designed, performance had a slightly different definition. Like high compression was 7-to-1. A 2-barrel carburetor was state-of-the-art. So performance had a different definition back then. And these were both designed as performance engines. It wasn't until later on in the 50s that our definition, the way we think of performance today, and then that's where you get into the cubic inch races and everything else, that type of engine began to evolve. So these things, the first generation Nailheads, 1953 was introduced. So 53 through 56 were smaller displacement engines, and they're kind of inconsequential from a performance standpoint. But in 56 or 57, they went to a slightly bigger overall package, and you had the 364. The 364 lasted a couple of years by itself, and then they increased the deck height. They increased the stroke and the deck height for the 401. And the 401 was the killer engine of the 1958, 1959, 1960 era. 59.
I think 59 is when it started, the 401.
The 401 started in 59.
I think so, yeah.
But it was like a killer engine. During the NHRE nitro ban from 57 to 63, you know, the Hemi had proven itself on nitro like right away. But during the NHRE nitro ban, where they didn't have top fuel, they had top eliminator, Buicks were right in the running with the Chryslers. Tommy Ivo cut his teeth on the Buick engine. And he ran in injected single, then he went to a blown single, and then he went to a twin, you know, the two engines mounted like this, both injected. Then he had one blown and one injected in that same V. And then finally, at the end of that series of evolutions, it ended up with 4 Buick engines. The Showboat, with 4 of them, 2 mounted on one side facing one way, 2 mounted facing the other way, you know, 4-wheel drive. And that was like the last gasp of Buick Nailhead dragster performance. But during the nitro ban, on gasoline, when it was just top eliminator and not top fuel, the Buicks ran right with the Chryslers. It wasn't that way on nitro, obviously. The AHR was still on a nitro, and the Hemis had a lock on that. But like I said, on gasoline, at that period of time, the Buicks ran. So they ran the 401 until, I'm not even sure what year, and then they finally enlarged it to the 425, which is what this is. And that ran until the last year of production in 1866. The thing about these engines is that they're designed for torque, like instant electric motor type torque, right off of idle. So remember, at this time, Buick was with the Dynaflow transmission, which was like, I don't even know what they were thinking there. But basically, the torque converter was the transmission. So off idle torque was a big deal. And that's what these engines were designed for. That you know, 1500, 1800 RPM, like just like an electric motor, The downside to this, and where the Nailhead really met its end, was the fact that by the early 1960s, everybody had gone to Well, fuel quality increased across the board, improved across the board, I should say. And everybody at that point had gone to a more open combustion chamber, more like the Chrysler, but in a wedge form. The Buick, the Nailhead, with that pocket of combustion chamber and the two smaller valves, well, they couldn't really compete. Like I said, once you got into the more modern era of performance, because those two pocketed valves were shrouded and small in diameter. So it just does not have the breathing capability of a more modern cylinder head. But again, you see, you have to look at everything in its element. And for, let's say, a street driver with like, a mild gearing and let's say a 5,000 RPM, top end, the Buick Nailhead is just such a fantastic engine. They're heavy, extremely heavy. It has a deep skirted block like an FE Ford or a big block Chrysler. One of the unique and difficult to work around features of these engines is the extremely long exhaust port. So this does two things. It works for the engine in one aspect and it works against the engine in the other. So you see the distance here between the exhaust valve and the exhaust port. The exhaust port literally runs through the top of the cylinder head. Now this is an advantage for a regular driver engine because remember, iron cylinder heads will always make a little more power. Everything else being equal, right? Port size and valve size, everything else being equal, an iron head will always make a little bit more power because of the way it retains heat. And so there's more vaporization that takes place over the surface of the cylinder head. Well, the Buick takes that to an extreme because running the exhaust port clear through the head increases the overall cylinder head temperature and therefore its ability to vaporize fuel, get those lighter elements in that are easy to light. It's like the fuse that lights the firecracker. So that's the plus side of the Nailhead. The downside is nearly impossible to port. But again, you've got small valves, and see, Buick was going for a different type of performance. They were going for low RPM torque, so small valves, good low RPM velocity. So again, when you touch the gas on these things, the torque that they make just from off idle to like 3 or even 4,000 RPM is just, there is no other engine, especially the 425 version, there is no other engine that runs like these things do. So that's a quick run on it. This one's got the Turbo 400 on it with a switch pitch converter, which was like a holdover from the Dynaflow days. So the switch pitch converter, which I'm surprised isn't a regular thing today. The switch pitch converter gives you two different stall speeds. It's electronically controlled through a valve in the transmission that sends fluid into the converter. So basically it's got a 2-speed torque converter and then, obviously the rest of the transmission there. Fantastic engine. If I had, I don't even want to get started with this. Because see, I really want a Nailhead.
Yeah, well.
I remember working on these things when I was a kid, and every time you ever took one for a ride, it was just like, it was magic. They had a dual quad version in 64 through 66.
Yeah.
They had a dual quad version of these things. They were just like regular, I mean, you'd never know. There was like absolutely no external signs. And even if you opened the hood, it still had this big round air cleaner on it. It didn't look like a dual quad air cleaner. But yeah, there were a bunch of dual quad 425 Nailheads running around in the early to middle 60s.
Mm. Yeah, great engine. You can buy a lot of dress-up stuff for these too. They're very popular. You can buy aluminum intakes, aluminum valley covers, the thinned aluminum valve covers.
They're beautiful.
You can really dress them up old school looking.
Old school, but I say when old school looking, they're timeless. It just has that beautiful, I can't even explain it. In my opinion, it's one of the most beautiful engines ever built. They just have a, they're just right. It's just right in so many different ways. All right, just a quick overview on the Nailhead. At some point, I'm going to get one of these motors, get my hands on one of these engines, and tear it down and go bit by bit through the whole thing.
Well, you can throw it in the back of the Jeep now if you want.
Oh, jeez, no, don't get me going. No, you don't understand. I really love these.
Yeah, there you go.
I like a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah, they do fit into the weird category because they're so different. But awesome engine.
Yeah. All right. Kiwi, I'm going to let you get back to work. You're about to embark on your big adventure. Wait, here, I'll take this now.
Kiwi's big adventure, yeah.
Kiwi's big adventure.
Yeah.
So the plan is you're leaving here when?
2 weeks today.
2 weeks
So
from
2nd
today.
of February, we head out to San Diego, pick up this 59 Plymouth station wagon.
That hasn't
Suburban.
run since the 70s,
Hasn't run since 79,
since 79.
so 45 years. And the plan is to get it running, and drive it back to Nashville.
That's 2,000 miles.
2,000 miles, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we figure if we can, if it can do 500 miles, it can do 2,000. So we're going to find out fairly early if it ain't going to work. So, but yeah, it's an adventure. We'll get to see some countryside. We're going to stop and see a few people on the way, and
And hopefully not too many flatbeds.
hopefully not too many flatbeds. We're going to put tyres on it, and we're going to put brakes on it, and water pumps, and hoses, and all that sort of stuff that. Basically in this guy's yard, we'll do all that there, and we'll hit the road and just keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. And we'll live stream some of it and make videos, and
And I'll
I'm sure
stay
there'll
home.
be a few cock up videos sort of thing. But
And
something's
I'll
bound
stay
to
home
fail.
and root for you.
There you go. Yeah, from the warmth of your lounge. Yeah,
Yes,
While we're
exactly.
shivering in our, we'll probably have the heater core bypass because that's probably shot. So we'll be. It'll be -2 outside and -4 inside the car. So
And you got to make it through the desert too.
well, yeah, which gets cold. So lots of long johns and slippers and stuff. So, crazy stuff.
Better him than me. So anyway, like I says, I just want to do a quick overview on the Nailhead. I'll do more in-depth stuff on that engine in the future. And of course, every Wednesday night, we make a good-looking couple.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And of course, every Wednesday night, you can join us on our Wednesday night Tech Talk live. Wednesday night, 7 o'clock.
Wednesday
Central,
night,
on
7
my
o'clock.
channel.
Yep.
Yes. All right.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But I'll miss one of those in 2-3 weeks. I'll be gone. I'll be on the road. So.
I'll have to have like Jamie from
But
Dodge Garage.
well, maybe we can beam in from wherever we've managed to get to, which might be 5 miles outside of San Diego. By the 5 days later, who knows? We shall see.
I'm gonna go back out into the frozen tundra and just be depressed. I just want to be on my motorcycle. It's all I want to do right
I
now.
wouldn't want to be on a motorbike out there right now.
I know,
It's
I know.
slippery, man.
See you tomorrow.
See you guys.